want to say that it is a real honor to be able to come and speak to your children and to be an important vessel of continued growth for this community. I'm not from Savannah. I am from Georgia. I did live here for a little while. But as Ms. Hope said and Ms. LJ, I went to school with them here in Savannah at South University. I am a certified anger management specialist, and I have been a mental health therapist for about 10 years. And I also am a labor coach and doula. So I think I've experienced anger in just about every area of life. And I also worked at DJJ as a therapist there for a period of time as well. I share something in common with Ms. Hope. I have a son, my only son. I don't plan on having it anymore, but I don't know what God has in store for me. But again, it is very important that we check in with our children's emotions. I don't think we can stress that enough. As Ms. Hope said, we're one of the few communities who are skeptical about pursuing mental health. Again, it's that stigma of I'm crazy or I have to take medication. No, I don't always feel like medication is necessary. I don't always feel like ADHD is the answer for everything. I think that if we start to get to some of the roots of these other things that's going on in the community, what we call ADHD will go away. Yes. What we need medication for will go away. Right. Medication is a temporary fix to a lifelong problem. No different than having a headache. It's a temporary fix. But if I don't fix the stressors in my life, that headache continues to perpetuate. And it continues to grow. And it might grow into migraines, it might grow into high blood pressure, it might grow into cancer. You never know. Because your emotions and stress eat you up from the inside. It's not just the outward thing. It's not just about violence. It's a holistic thing. It's about your whole being. Excuse me. So I have prepared a presentation. It's mostly for the babies. I think everybody can learn something from it. And Mr. LJ has went around and given out the parents a copy of my presentation. I'm going to apologize for some of the quotes. They're small. But the economical person in me wanted 4 slides per page. But hopefully you can keep notes on that sheet of paper and review it with your kids sometime. Excuse me. So we're going to get started. Like I said, I'm a certified anger management specialist. I've worked at Georgia Regional. I've worked at DJJ. I've worked at Coastal Harbor. I've worked in Virginia at a level 6 facility, which is one of the most high-risk facilities for kids as a therapist. And I had one of the worst units they call the Wild Wild West. I don't know why I would say the worst, but this is my passion. This is what I do. I'm also a student of ministry. I'm getting my doctorate in ministry right now at South. But I feel like this ministry comes in different forms. And for some people it's in the pulpit, and for others it's in the community. And I feel like being a child who was angry, always getting put out of school, always fighting, I can give something back. It may not look like I was a fighter in school, but my parents would tell you, I had parent-teacher conferences at home, I was so bad. So I understand a lot of the things that's going on, and if it had not been for my parents, I probably would have been in jail or in worse circumstances, especially I lived in California. And I know we have gangs here on the East Coast, but it's nothing like on the West Coast. It's nothing like walking out of your classroom and seeing a bus blow up or a teacher getting shot. Those are the conditions that I grew up in. And my parents did not want me on that path. So they pursued mental health against all my teachers' recommendations because they were going to stick me in a slow class. They didn't think there was any help for me. Let's just put her in a slow class and leave it there. But they couldn't because I was an honor roll student. I was bad, but I had straight A's. So my home environment propelled me into a better situation than being in school and being affected by what was going on in my environment. So I'm grateful for that. But real quick, I'll try not to go too long. I like to keep things interactive. I don't have a whole lot of handouts, and I don't like to read slide for slide. So I'm going to ask the kids to kind of move around and kind of do some things. So hopefully they'll have a good time, and this will be something that sticks because they get to actually apply it. All right. So just to piggyback off of what Ms. Hope asked me to do, we have learned that anger is a phase of the grief process. And that's what I'm going to be dealing with. But a very famous, I guess you could say, theorist or therapist came up with the grief cycle. And that was Ms. Kubler-Ross. This is probably the only slide that I'll read out to you because the words are kind of small. But it says, the most beautiful people we have known are those who have known defeat, have known struggle, have known suffering, have known loss, have found their way out of the depths These persons have an appreciation, a sensitivity, and an understanding of life that fills them with compassion, gentleness, and a deep loving concern. Beautiful people do not just happen. And what that says is, sometimes we get upset and we say, Lord, why am I going through this? Why am I going through this? But sometimes it's that stuff that you go through that molds you into that beautiful vessel so that you can come back and give to somebody else who's experiencing the same thing. So for me, as a child growing up, I grew up, I had to have open heart surgery. I was bad. I was physically abused and some other things. Those things have shaped me into the therapist that I have become. Because of that, I have found my ministry and giving back to the community to kids who have been through some of the same things, maybe worse. But they can connect to me because one, people think, oh, she's so young, or she's so cute, and they want to be like that. Or an example, if you can do it, Miss Tanisha, I know I can do it. If you can go from getting in trouble every day to graduating magna cum laude at your school, I could do it. Okay? So the things that you go in anger management, we say life is about 90% of the choices you make and 10% of what happens to you. That means life is going to happen. Life is going to happen. And a portion of what Ms. Hope gave you was a toolbox to help you get over that other 90%. Learning how to grow. Not just putting a Band-Aid over something, but actually healing from the inside out. And when I don't quite know how to heal, how to build a support system to help me get to where I need to be. Because we can't do it alone. Mommy doesn't always have the right answers. Grandma might not always have the right answers. The pastor has the word, and that's the greatest comfort. Amen. But we got to have some other things in our inventory as well. Okay? To help us lean on that word and help us understand that word. And sometimes the afflictions that we go through help us understand that word better. Okay, God, so you said I have to be a suffering servant. This is what you mean. You said this is but a light affliction compared to Jesus dying on the cross. I can bear this a little bit longer. Or this won't always be, but I can go through it because I know it's joy on the other side. Okay? So, real quick, I'm just going to go through and explain how anger relates to grief and trauma. As I stated, there are 5, sometimes, depends on who it is, there's about 5 to 7 phases of grief. Again, the main one that we're going to focus on is anger. And the usual symptoms are what you see up there. But sometimes anger resembles a smile. Sometimes anger is that calm, quiet person in the back of the classroom that we have no idea what that kid goes home to. We have no idea of what that kid wakes up to. Okay? So I don't want everybody to think that anger just looks like a mean face, because sometimes anger can be that bright, happy cheerleader. Okay? But for my babies, what I want you to understand is when you become that bright, happy cheerleader that just packs everything down, it becomes a mountain. It becomes a mountain on the inside. And that's the worst anger to have. The anger that nobody can see. If you think about it, I think back in the day it was this really cool science experiment where you made the volcano out of clay and you poured the baking soda in there, and I think you poured some vinegar in there and it bubbled all up to the top. That's anger. That's anger. Or if you like my son and you like noodles, you put that pot on the stove with water, and if you add salt to it, the water starts to boil a little bit faster. And you put more water in there, it starts to boil a little bit faster. But when you put those noodles in there, those nutrients in there, it absorbs some of that steam. The noodles become all soft, right? And sometimes that's what we have to do to our anger. We have to find those nutrients to calm that boiling pot. Okay? All right. I like cartoons, so like I said, I have a son, he's 5, we watch cartoons every day. So a lot of cartoons in my slide. One of my babies, tell me what is anger. What is your understanding? Go ahead, Miss. What's your name?
Anger. Zayn.
Say it again.
Zayn.
Zayn. Tell me what is anger.
Anger is an emotion that most people feel by building up a lot of emotions and they get angry.
Anybody else have a definition of anger for me? I saw you raise your hand earlier. Go ahead. You know what anger is?
Being mad at you and somebody do something to you, but you still be mad.
Yes, that's one piece of anger. You're right. Is anger bad?
Yes.
No. Anger is not bad. It's what you do with the anger that can be bad. But if me and Miss Hope get into it, and we have sometimes over cases that we've shared, when we get into it and we're talking about something and she's like, nope, that's not what I think, that's healthy anger. We can have differences. And sometimes we say, well, you know what, you have your opinion and I have my opinion. The bad way to handle that anger was, you know what, Miss Hope, I didn't like you anyway. That's bad. Because not only am I saying something bad out of my mouth, but I'm hurting my friend who I really care about. Just because she doesn't agree with me. Okay? So is anger bad?
No.
Is what you do with anger bad if it's mean?
Yes.
All right, good job. Anybody else want to tell me what anger is before I go on? Go ahead, baby.
If somebody called you a crybaby, you said you would be angry and disappointed.
Yes, and I want you to hold on to that because we're going to come to a part where we say, what do we do with that when somebody makes us angry? Okay? So remember, say, Miss Tanisha, you said it was my turn, I want to go. Okay? All right. How anger impacts me, the person, or you, or anybody. How anger, that's the Inside Out guy, in case parents didn't see the movie. It's great. Actually, anytime I do a presentation, I use the Inside Out movie because it is a great depiction of every single emotion. So if you have not shown that movie to your kids, parents, watch it first. Think about how you can use it as a learning tool, and then show it, sit down one night with the kids. Me and my son do pillow parties all the time, get you some popcorn, get you a movie. Watch the movie with them. And then, after, don't stop it in the middle of the movie. But after the movie's over, what was something you remembered about that? You seen it before? Okay, we're going to spoil it for everybody else. Okay, good job. You're ahead of the game. But again, anger, from the personal point of view, has all these impacts on your life. Okay? So when you're angry, when you're hurt, you're broken. And sometimes those broken things cause us to hurt other people. Because, well, I had a bad day at school today. I got up late for the bus, and then my teacher yelled at me. And then when I got home, my mama said I had chores to do, but I was tired. So when my little brother came and said, do you want to play? No! That's how anger manifests. It wasn't even about your little brother asking you to play, because maybe on a good day, you probably would have. But because you had such a bad day, you don't even want to talk to your little brother. Is it your little brother's fault?
No.
No, not at all. But that's a way that sometimes, even adults, parents, we got up late this morning, we were late for work, we left our lunch, the boss called us in because somebody complaining, we got home in rush hour traffic, this car done cut me off, this is my lane, and they gonna cut me off? And then when your mama, can you remember? No, don't you see I'm busy? But the interesting thing about anger is your child learns to respond to their anger how they see their parents respond to their anger. So we can't be those, like Miss Hope said, I grew up in the older generation. We can't be those do as I say, not as I do parents. Because we don't live in that world. That's not a reality. We have to be do as I do parents. And then, on top of that, we can't be mad when our kids check us for not being do as I do, as long as they're respectful. My son is very good. If I have a bad day, he asks, MJ, could you leave? Mama, but I didn't even say nothing to you. And I'm like, oh, hold on, let me pull it back. Let me pull it back. That's right. He wasn't disrespectful. He understood that mommy wasn't having a good day, but he also let mommy know, they ain't got nothing to do with me. And I still want my time. And Miss Hope can tell you, my son is very articulate. Yes. He's very, I don't know where he came from, but he's a little man. They call him a deacon at church. Okay, so based on what you know about how you use your anger to hurt other people, what are some ways that anger manifests in the community, aside from what we just experienced this weekend? What are some things or ways that anger affects the community? I'm going to leave, this one's for my parents too, so y'all feel free to jump in. Go ahead.
It can end up in feeling like you.
Yeah, it absolutely can. Anybody else? Come on, parents, y'all have been angry. Division, yes, especially, there was a slide, I didn't want to put in here because I wanted to keep it child focused, but it was a slide of a couple arguing with each other, and there was a baby in the background like this. What we don't understand is, even though this is a conversation between me and your mom, that baby hears everything. That's right. Children are the most intuitive, insightful, and they're just like little sponges. Yeah. They absorb things you don't think they absorb. Yeah. My son told me the other day, Mama, remember what you did for my second birthday party? I was like, no. Well, I do. You had the fire department coming out. I was like, well, how you know that? You were too. Like, I was there. That's what he said. I was there. But in my mind, you know, birthday parties are just birthday parties. We just throw them and they have fun and that's it. But it leaves a lasting impression. So parents, we have to guard our words. And don't think just because you told Johnny to go in the room that they ain't like my son. He be like this. Mama, Mama. He right there listening. He was right there listening. Okay? What are some other ways, parents, that anger manifests in the household?
It causes division.
Okay.
Misunderstandings that result in anger causes division, not only in the household but other places too. It can cause division among people.
And you know, one of the main factors or one of the main things that precipitate anger is miscommunication. My perception of what you said may not be your perception of what you said. It's all about the things that I've been through that day, how I process information, you know, and a whole bunch of other things that I go throughout the day. One of my favorite things to do in one of my counseling sessions with families, especially among siblings who don't get along, is I have them sit back to back. And one person is holding a picture, and it's real simple pictures, usually like square, arrow, triangle, whatever. And the other person's on the other side with a blank sheet of paper and markers in their hand. And the person sitting on this side has to explain what to draw to this person. And they, oh, I got this, I can make him draw perfectly. And what they understand is by inactivity is, what I said was not what they heard. Yeah. So I might have said blue, but I didn't say what color blue. So it might have been dark blue, they put baby blue. Mm-hmm. It might have been a square, a small square, they put a big square. And then I take the activity further and I say, well, try describing what the square looks like. Where is it at on the paper? And sometimes we expect people to understand or feel the way that we feel because that's us. Mm-hmm. And that's not necessarily true. Yeah. Their feelings are theirs. You can't make anybody own your feelings. Okay? Matter of fact, I just had this conversation right before I came in here with my boyfriend. He was like, man, this dude at work, you know, I tell him everything. And, you know, when he's going through something, he don't tell me nothing. He ain't my real friend. Well, wait a minute. That don't mean he's not your friend. It just means he doesn't express himself the same way that you do. He may not be ready to share right now. But when he does, as a friend, you give him the support. You don't say, well, no, you didn't tell me what I wanted to know. I don't want to know. We can't be, everything can't be on our time. So when your kids are angry and they had a bad day in school, and they say, Mom, I don't want to talk about it. Give them a little space. Say, you know what? You may not be ready to talk about it now, but we would need to address this before you go to bed. Because for one, it's not good to go to sleep angry. Okay? And for two, that next morning, and they sleep, then they came up with a whole bunch of things they're going to do the next day to get back. I was that kid, trust me. I'm going to take this school up. I'm about to destroy this. The morning show set, everything. They came up with a whole scenario. So by the time you wake them up in the morning, they're like, all right, yep, we talked about it. And they get to school, it goes out the window. Because it's had time to manifest overnight. So give them space, but make sure they come back to you at the end of the night. We can apply the same thing to our relationships. Give them space, but don't let it harbor. Don't let it manifest, because the longer it manifests, the more division it creates, and the harder it is to come back. But kids, you never address a situation when you're angry right then. Give people time to cool down. Even yourself. My mama will tell you I'm very good. If I get mad, she's like, Tanisha, what's wrong? Give me a few minutes. She come back to me, she ready to talk. I need to. Let me come to you when I'm ready. She's had to learn. Okay, when Tanisha says she's not going to talk, she ain't talking. Because my mama, she's like, you know, parents are supposed to annoy you, but they just keep coming back, keep coming back, keep coming back, keep coming back. And it makes it worse. Yes. It makes it worse. Because now I'm mad at you because you won't let me be mad. Give space. Give space. This is a famous quote that I like to do when I'm talking about anger and grief and just emotions, period. It says, grief is like the ocean. It comes in waves, ebbing, flowing. Sometimes the water is calm. Sometimes it is overwhelming. but all you can do is swim. All you can do is swim. You can't control the waves. You can't control its effect on your body. But what you can do is you can take your time. You can grace the waters when you're ready. And when you're not, you can sit back on the shore. Okay? But don't sit so far back that the beach keeps on eroding. Because you got to handle that. It's going to just keep coming in, coming in, coming in. So at some point you have to swim. All right? All right, let's put it into practice. Ways to prevent anger. These are just some tools that I teach to help people understand how to deal with their anger. Adults, kids, it doesn't matter. They all work the same for everybody. You might have a different style of applying them to yourself, but they all work the same. One, I love it for my kids, it's called grab a pause. When you feel angry, take a break. Take a break. Now, if you're in school and you're angry, you may not be able to walk out the classroom. But what you can say is, Miss Johnson, I need like 2 minutes. I'm having a really bad day. Before you call on me to answer a question, can I just have 2 minutes? And hopefully, your teacher is insightful enough to say, you know what? Before I cause a problem in this classroom, let me give you that 2 minutes. If they're not, then what I say to you, can I go to the guidance counselor? You may not even want to talk to the guidance counselor because I was that kid. I sit there for hours, stare you down. And in counseling, we teach this thing called the silent response. You just sit there. I was the best. I was counseling the counselor. She's sitting at me and I'm looking at her. And she's looking at me and I'm looking at her. Okay? So it may not even be about going to the counselor, but that walk gives you the opportunity to think some things through. All right? So if you know your teacher's not going to give you 2 minutes, they're going to keep nagging, because I have some kids who say, my teacher just nag. She just pick on me because she look at my face and don't have a bad day. Well, say, you know what, can I walk to the counselor? Or I'm not feeling good, can I go to the nurse? And you might not need the nurse. And yes, parents, I am telling them how to kind of tweak the system, but sometimes you need to. Sometimes you need to, because the teachers, sometimes they work 20 hours, they're tired, they don't get no breaks, they got to eat at their desk. They don't care about what our kids are going through. And I'm just being real because I've worked in the school system. They can care less about your problems. I got my own problems. My kid bad too. So sometimes you got to learn how to do things to benefit you as a person. I'm not telling you walk through the hall and tear everything down and, stop in Miss So-and-so class and mess up her classroom and then stop in the gym and go eat lunch 3 times. I'm not telling you that. Yeah, that's high school kids today. What I'm telling you is find ways to get your own peace. Find ways to get your own peace. Even in situations where it seems like I can't get peace, you can always get peace. Okay? One thing for me was I knew smokers get 15-minute break at the job, right? So I'm going to go to my car and read my Bible for 15 minutes. 15 minutes. My supervisor can't stop me from reading my Bible in my car. Now, they might say no Bible